Howdy, Roarar here. Today is Appreciated Dragon Day, and since my fursona is a dragon, I figured today would be the perfect time to do an OC ramble. It my fursona. Mindohil is a Dovizul name, meaning Eye of Heart. If you aren't aware, Dovizul is the fan-made name for the dragon tongue in Skyrim. It wasn't until I solidified the name that I learned that the proper way this name would have been constructed means Sehil, but I'm too lazy to change it and the original spelling rolls better. Either way, they typically go by Roar. They are me and I am them. We share identities. They're panromantic, asexual, non-binary. They practice witchcraft. They like coffee and spicy food, etc. If you know anything about me, you know something about my fursona too. The main difference is that Roar is more social. They like going to parties and being around people. They're my more social and unafraid side. But like me, they still have the mental disorders that I do. They just learn to better cope with it. Now, what's hard about rambling about this OC is that they don't really have a backstory. I've tried coming up with all sorts of things and nothing really works out. It doesn't feel right unless they have my story, but even then it's hard and weird. I turn them into a shapeshifter of some sort that only has specific forms, and even that doesn't feel solid. Maybe they're a failed lab experiment. Maybe that's like, but that's just like every other fursona on DeviantArt. Maybe they're a product of wild magic, but that feels loosey-goosey. There's so many backgrounds that if I went with my backstory, it would become a Draw My Life video. What I do have is that since their childhood, they suffered from these mental swings and anger issues that resulted in their monster form, which I'll show right here. And it took them years to find a healthy coping mechanism and quell their angry issues. But like everyone else, they have an occasional relapse and may end up destroying some shit in the process. I suppose the thing with fursonas, if we're going to go with backstories here, is the fact that they change over time. Just like people, like the people who make these OCs will do. My oldest fursona was a Sonic the Hedgehog fan character. Well, look, we all start somewhere. I'm not going to judge you, don't judge me. I'll give myself this, though. I gave so few shits about anything as a 13-year-old person that she probably had the most fleshed out backstory of all my fursonas. She was the child of Knuckles and Sonya, making her an Echidna Hedgehog hybrid. And she guarded these like lightning crystals that gave her lightning powers. I think I originally had planned that she was like born during a really nasty thunderstorm or something like that. Like, I never really written it down. I kind of just fleshed it out in my head and I really stuck with it. But she also had very nasty anger issues. I think you can probably tell where I got this. I suffered from anger management problems as a child, but like I think that's different now, as far as I know. Like, but yeah, she had these nasty anger issues, and she tended to like punch away her problems, zap them away. And after a while, I stopped really identifying with her and changed her into a wolf dragon hybrid. She had almost the same backstory, almost. Except for being a love child between two canon characters, she was the offspring of a wolf and a dragon who was the descendant of a pair of lightning thunder dragon gods, making her a demigod in a sense. But I didn't really treat her like one. She was so far removed from that bloodline that all she really had was the lightning powers. I recently revamped her, and I renamed her Voltage and turned her into... she's a he now. He is a trans guy. I have a drawing of that right here. Well, now he is a computer scientist with a knack for building really shitty robots. Like, knife-wielding tentacle robot that screams all day kind of shitty. I really want to do more, like, stories with this one. I might talk about him a little more in another video. When I really joined the furry fandom, I decided I needed a more traditional fursona. Like you know, Something that was more like what everyone else had. It wasn't like a fan character. It wasn't like a pony or something like that. So I made a wolf that I named Woof Woof. I had Now the thing about growing up on DeviantArt is that you kind of get uh, beaten into what makes a good OC, and that usually means don't be a Mary Sue. And that was so beaten into me about what makes a Mary Sue that I made a realistic wolf persona, like semi-realistic mostly. They have blue eyes, and which is pretty rare for a wolf. A lot of people had blue eyes on their wolf persona because it was rare and majestic and pretty. Um, I also gave Woof Woof red markings, but she was perhaps my most boring version of myself. And not even just in a sense of design, but also in personality and in character. And I can't stand looking at Woof Woof anymore. Like, I really can't. Every time I look back on DeviantArt, I'm looking at this poor thing, and I'm like, what the fuck did I just create? Why did I think this was me? Why did I think this was okay for me to let's see as myself? She was reclusive and secluded. She was antisocial. She was the part of me that let others tell her what to do and push her around. And I'm not proud of it. I'm really not proud of this one. This is probably my least favorite. And I had a Sonic character for a fursona. After breaking up with my ex, if you hear anything, that's my cat trying to get into a cabinet. You absolute dumbass. I went back to a wolf dragon, but not as a Sonic fursona. I did this while I was discovering myself a little more. Like, I was figuring out who I am, like my gender. And this Woof Woof was a wolf dragon, as I probably said earlier. And that kind of led into the design of my current persona. There wasn't really much to them. Not much different from the one I have now. But they did still have a lot of my ex connected to them. And I think eventually I decided I just couldn't keep that one anymore. I probably had that one for about a year or two, and I decided, no, I want to go full dragon. But I did recently do some concepts to redesign this old character because I did kind of like the design. I just thought that it wasn't really me. I'll put some like drawings up in the corner there. I really want to revive and rename this character, really give them a backstory of their own. But I've already I think if I did, they would mingle also with Roarar, and that would mean Roarar needs a backstory, and that brings me full circle. One day I will come up with a really good one. I just cannot find one. And I want this OC, I want my persona to be fun to roleplay and to write. But for the time being, all they are is just this party dragon. And, like, for now, this is just them. This is just Roarar. This is just me. This is just how we're gonna be for a little while, I guess. And, I guess another thing with Roarar is that this isn't their first design. I think their first design I'll probably actually put up here. I think I still have the file. Yeah, they were originally a quadruped. And I thought, you know what, I'll stick with that. But I think after like a year or two, I think it was probably almost 2 years, I figured I love mixing a quadruped with the world of anthropomorphics. Like, they're all bipedal, but I started to feel a little left out because all my friends had like bipedal OCs. All my friends had really cool designs, and I thought, I'm gonna make mine bipedal. I'm gonna give them a little hair too because I like the floof. I like that floofy hair. Um, I guess that's just it. That's just who they are right now. Um, I guess the newest design really is the tattoo, and I just recently changed the color of it because I really didn't like the gold. I went with the gold because I was going with something that would look green on the red scales without it being an eyesore, but it still came out as an eyesore. I'm still figuring out color theory. So you know what? I guess that's just it. That's all I really have for this character. For all the others I may have something a little more fleshed out because a lot of my OCs are a lot more fleshed out. Um, yeah, so this is the end of my video. So it's time for plugs. My commissions are open. The link to the prices is down below. It might either go to my Tumblr or my Amino. I think my Amino actually has the terms of service, so that might actually be a little easier. I'm planning to add other prices, like for Discord emojis and concept art. You know, like the concept art's being the hardest for me to figure out because I don't know what like amateur commission artists do to make concept art and how much that would cost. We'll figure that out. Also, check out my Patreon. Supporting me will give you access to sneak peeks, commission discounts, etc., more, etc., more. It is the best way to support me if you don't like have any commission ideas. Like it would really mean a lot to me. So yeah, like check out my Patreon. There'll be a link to my Discord on there, and you can join that if you really want to. Although if you support my Patreon, you get like a super special role, which I may link more of my Patreon stuff too, so you can see it without like, you know, some email telling you to look at it. But yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.